Hey guys, how are we doing? So we're back with another video from Nux Taku. He's hit 600,000 subscribers and this is a little milestone video he's made. Giant anime strategies that flexed on everyone. Thumbnail had a bit of a Log Horizon and Code Geass going on, so I'm excited for that. Obviously we're going to have the Log Horizon where he sneakily purchased all the buildings, and Code Geass where he took over the world and then had himself killed. Genius. So, let's get into this. The flexing anime videos are so good anyway. This is just going to be boss, so yes.
I feel like everyone that got into anime has their own story how they got there. Especially coming from a Western background and growing up in high school in a time where anime was not mainstream.
Very relatable.
I don't know about
Very
you guys,
relatable.
but when I took my body pill out of high school, people thought it was weird. And times have changed, haven't they? What was it that made you make the conscious decision to take the leap of faith into anime weirdness?
University for
where
me.
you would start consciously picking anime series to watch over whatever trendy thing that was going on at that point. For me, by and large, it was the strategy aspect to anime.
Oh, okay.
Now, all of us initially started
Death
with
Note.
Pokemon or Digimon or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's what you grew up watching.
Suck.
Whoa.
That we probably
Best
didn't
East
even
of all time,
realize was
Digimon,
anime
yeah.
at the time, but ended up growing into things like Naruto or One Piece or Dragon Ball. Kaioken! Hey! Shut the fuck up! Whatever it was that shonen story of someone growing and becoming themselves. I
Yeah.
still, to my very core, love that shonen ideal. However, after I finished Naruto, I did pick up Bleach, but I wouldn't have considered myself an anime fan per se. I wanted more of that growth-oriented shonen-esque story, but I didn't
Class.
commit myself to the medium at all.
No?
It was only after I watched Code Geass
Oh.
and then Death Note that I
Death Note was
decided I
my-
was an
wow.
anime fan. This is literally the greatest thing ever.
I must know all your
despite the
secrets.
very slight, tiny amount of cringe that coincidentally happens every time my parents would walk in the room.
It's
They
the
did
noises.
not like the Buzz Lightyear tentacle hentai. I think that left a mark forever.
Whoa.
Point is, anime always had a more intellectual side, at least to me, than most other mediums I found myself spending time with. It was thanks to that Death Note Code Geass vibe
so
that I fell
good.
in love with anime in general, and thinking back, that's a lot of what was great about shonen series. You don't see Western stories about underdogs growing, and you don't see simple fights like Shikamaru versus Tamari
Oh
in
my
almost
God.
any other medium. No, I am not rambling here. This is my 600,000 subscriber special, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me get to
Deserve
this
it.
point. And like every
Nux's channel's
milestone
definitely gonna be a
special, I
million
like to
sub
make a
channel
more
by the end of the year.
personal video. These are,
Definitely.
in my personal opinion, the 10 anime strategies that
Oh,
changed
class.
anime
Cool.
for me.
So
The
that's
first
what
one
this
I'd like
actually
to
is.
talk about is, as I've mentioned, Code Geass.
Oh.
It was the first short anime as well as the first non-shonen anime that I've watched, and the ending of Code Geass R2 still, to this day, is my favorite ending of any show I've ever
So
watched.
good.
The end of the series evolved
Oh,
to the
man.
point that
You were
there
into
were
it,
three
weren't you?
dynamic philosophies in play, and I will not be spoiling anything because I very much do recommend you watch
Oh,
Code
it's one of the
Geass,
things,
because
Code Geass
I
and Death
personally
Note I
think
would
it's
never
one
spoil.
of the
Full Metal Alchemist
classics,
Brotherhood
which
I
is
would
why
never.
to this day
Oh.
it's still in my 5 favorite anime. But this ending was so spectacular.
It's incredible.
It took my breath away for days. It was days after this that I was still thinking about how I would never ever be able to experience anything that would hit me this hard ever again. Just telling you the nature of what this strategy is inherently a massive spoiler. Throughout the series, Lelouch, our main character, is a genius and a brilliant tactician.
He is very
He starts
clever.
an entire rebellion militia because he hates his certain government, and well, let's just say he builds it completely from the bottom up due to his harebrained schemes that grant him numerous
Pinky in the brain.
victories in battle, outmaneuvering his opponents, outthinking
That
his
is a clip from the
opponents,
soup bit,
and
isn't it?
politically
That was the soup
outsmarting
bit.
his opponents. All along, the chessboard is being set up where Lelouch is the character we're following. He is the genius. His half-brother Schneisel is also a genius, and he ends up becoming the final adversary. The king is also a genius in his own way. And he too plays a massive role. These three intellectual masterminds all have drastically different ways of seeing the world. And it's this massive
Not
three-way
so
chess
loud,
game
though.
that takes the center stage in the finale of
how you know
Part
it's
2,
serious.
where only one can win. And even the victory of the side that eventually wins was all part of his massive plan
So good.
and what he intends to do with that victory. In the final battle, there were multiple points where I thought to myself Lelouch was losing grip of his own morality, and his own ideology was being taken over by greed and pride.
But
this was not the case at all, and Lelouch remains as one of the best written anime protagonists of all time.
Incredible.
There's obviously a limit of how much I can say regarding the
you don't want to spoil it, man. It's just so good. The ending's so good.
The ending, that's just terrible. So I highly recommend you watch Code Geass. Note, this is my favorite strategy ever, but this is only the beginning. This is what got me into anime and what gave me a love for this more intellectual
What an anime to get you into anime as well. That's incredible. Death Note was like my kind of like,
ooh. History to the 9 other strategies that blew my mind and that changed anime forever. But first, a quick honorable mention. Also in Code Geass, when Lelouch was like, oh my god, the enemies have nuclear weapons. I know, we'll develop an ultimate technology that cancels nuclear weapons. They have a nuke, they shoot it, we'll take the anti-nuke, shoot it at the nuke to undo the nuke. Ultimate strategy right there. Thanks, Lelouch, very cool. Anyway, number 2, Death Note. Death Note was immediately recommended to me after I finished Code Geass, and whoever recommended it to me was pretty much awesome. His Death Note also remains to this day as one of the greatest anime. Death Note is also,
so
at its
good.
core, a psychological cat-and-mouse game
between
Kira and L, with a massive moral ambiguity plaguing the entire series.
Yep.
We didn't know who was the right, who was at the wrong
thing?
at different points because both sides seemed to keep switching with the tactics they've used to get what they want.
It's like, how far are you willing to go?
All that said and done, even though my favorite strategy in this anime was probably Light's memory strategy, because I think that says
so good. It's like, if he doesn't know,
better than
then
anything else in the entire series. He completely
thinks he's innocent.
his position in the world, and I very much intend to do an OP analysis on Light Yagami based on that strategy alone. However, what hit me most in Death Note was episode 2. It was when L immediately narrowed down to such an insane extent exactly who Kira was in a heartbeat that sent shivers down my spine, really letting me know exactly what we were dealing with.
It's like,
even though the
many strategies
like,
what is this show about,
gave me a taste of what anime is supposed to be, and even though the ending of Code Geass blew my mind entirely, I never had an episode 2 hit me so hard, letting me know exactly what the medium of anime is capable of. I mean, I've watched Naruto, right? People are making explosions, they're doing like a million flips and
they are.
Old men shoving their fingers up kids' butts, which isn't weird at all in retrospect. I'm going to rape you! Are you so put in my ass. You know, all that. And even Code Geass had that fantasy aspect and was much more
they're all over the memes on this. This is brilliant.
Death Note with muddled colors, a dark world that completely resembles ours, and men with intelligence limited to the
this
confines
is the perfect blend
of what
jokes and discussion.
Exists. Something so amazing happened we could have never ever predicted it. With the information actually present in just episode 1 of Death Note, L completely tracked down Kira to an insane degree based on Kira's hubris. We saw exactly how fantastic of a mind Light was. Light was a genius. He went around doing things all smart-like, and even though, while he was doing what he was doing, we could not even see slight error in his actions, we fully understood what was going on, and we
he's
didn't
trying to do
see
this
any
for
potential
justice.
issues. But L caught on all the things that both Light and we missed. Both Light and the entire viewer base simultaneously realized exactly what kind of mind he was up against. The Lind L. Taylor charade, the fact that Light used his school breaks to kill criminals, so
it's like,
based
he must
on
be a
that
student.
killing pattern, L knew that Light was a student, L gave that information to the police, and Light got that sensitive information because his father was in the police, so started killing in a much more haphazard way,
I need to
which
change
immediately
this.
lets L know that he somehow had access to the police! He also narrowed down exactly where he lived, and it was all terrifying. From our perspective, as well as from Light's perspective, he had a notebook that can kill anyone in the world if he writes his name down. It's the ultimate untraceable weapon, and L shut him down based on pure psychology. This was one moment in the Death Note anime. This was episode 2, right when we met Light's adversary. In Code Geass, Lelouch was the mind we were following all along. Even though he has made some mistakes
getting back and forth
and
in
has
Death
been
Note.
outsmarted on rare occasion, none of it can really be chalked down to his fault. But in this case, we're watching Light, a brilliant protagonist with an untraceable weapon, and he was completely outsmarted by a voice that figured out how old he is, what type of family he belongs to, where he lives, and how the Death Note needs a name and face to kill. It was no
I don't know how you're doing it,
but
I
it
know what
very
you need.
much let me know exactly what I was dealing with in the realm of anime. Anime was unlike anything else, and this remains as one of my 10 favorite strategies in anime.
Honorable mention? There we go.
Time, that epic strategy where
The
Light
potato
hid
chip.
a mini television in a bag of potato chips, so that he would take potato chips out of the bag, where the light in the bag is playing, which should reflect on the bag, so the video camera people weren't able to see what was going on in the bag, because it was a very small television, you should know. And in the bag itself, Light wrote down names, killing people, while it looked like he wasn't actually doing that. Epic strategy, Light
Incredible.
Yagami, very cool. Next, without further ado, I would like to talk about Naruto. This is number 3, and I'm talking
strategy.
about pain.
Pain.
This world shall know propane and propane accessories.
I was not expecting that at all.
That's it. I'm gonna kick your ass.
As far as Naruto goes, the fights, at least up to a certain point in Shippuden, were all based on strategy. It was something I really liked about Naruto because it's not all two-dimensional. I have a bigger blast of laser than you do, and therefore victory shall be
Yeah, okay,
mine.
that's true.
No, not exactly. That's not what was
I
going
hope
on.
that
But
Hunter
even
Hunter's
as
on
much
this list
as
then,
I'd like
if that's
to say
the
that, it is what Naruto devolved into at a certain point. However, pain reigns supreme as my favorite strategy in anime. This was a failed strategy. However, the fact that Pain devised a whole plan to capture the tailed beast in order to harness their power to make this massive cannon to keep the world trembling in fear of him, and in fear of the pain he can dish out, and it's because of all of that that the world will no longer war. He will create peace through pain. This was his strategy, and this was the going philosophy of the Akatsuki for the majority of Shippuden until the war. This is something I was not used to. This anime villain has a far more tragic backstory than any of the heroes that pretend to have tragic backstories. And it's created a person who, at his core, wants peace. It's not someone driven by revenge, not someone driven by hatred or even by pride. It's someone who genuinely doesn't want the pain inflicted on him to affect other people in the future. Being that Naruto was the first anime I watched knowing it was anime, Pain was the first anime villain that I really experienced as a powerful counter-ideology to the protagonists. It's also something not present nearly as much in Western media. When I talk about my favorite villains in the West, I'm thinking of the Joker from Batman.
Yeah,
and
man.
It's not like, well, I get behind his ideology. We should all definitely totally follow that ideal. Not exactly.
No.
The Joker's great, but it's not because I believe in his ideology or philosophy. And in fact, most of my favorite Western do not have what anime villains inspire me with. The fact that Thanos had good intentions alone made Thanos such a beloved
that's why he's so
character to
interesting,
the West proves that it's something not prevalent.
You kind of
because
feel
even though
like he's
Thanos
doing the right
was
thing,
written
but
as
you're
the
like,
protagonist of Avengers Infinity War, by no means was he anywhere nearly written as well as someone like Pain from Naruto. There are many nice things to say about Infinity War, and in fact, there are many things that I can say to compliment Thanos specifically from Infinity War. For example, a deviation of the entire superhero genre, where we were following a villain as the protagonist.
Yeah, that was class.
But as far as really embracing his ideology, I didn't feel that nearly as much as someone like Pain. Pain unlocked this love of anime villains for me, and it was purely due to his strategy in how he wanted the world to run, selflessly governing it through pain and fear that gave me tremendous awe of anime in general. Pain opened my eyes to a whole new world. Honorable mention that I want to talk about is when Naruto decided to do a reverse harem jutsu on Kaguya, and it seemed to work
at the end,
first.
it was incredible.
I thought this was really smart because,
You didn't
as
see
we
that, did
know,
you?
when you're up against a literal
At
god
the end of the
hyper
series,
death, trying to give them
Naruto's fighting a
weapon
female
is
bad guy,
definitely the
so
right
does
move.
reverse
Thanks,
sexy
Naruto.
jutsu with
Very
loads of
cool.
naked blokes
And now
to
that I've talked
distract
about
her.
Naruto, I would like to talk
Yeah.
about strategy number 4.
It's so funny.
Blackbeard's
It's
from
so
One Piece.
good.
I talked about an
I'm
anime
sorry to
villain
distract you
with a
from watching
strategy I
Full
can
Metal
get
Alchemist
behind, and well,
Continue.
Blackbeard is definitely not that at all.
Okay, this is
No,
interesting.
In fact,
Again,
pretty
you guys
much
know
the
I don't watch One
opposite.
Piece,
I do
so
not relate
let's
to
see how it
Blackbeard's
goes.
ideology or philosophy whatsoever. At least, yeah, we don't know him well enough. I'm sure we'll get to know him better. But the point is, Blackbeard blew my mind. I always thought he was like some goofy dude running around. Every single fight he always got into, he ended up bloodied up for one reason or another. You ready to die?
No, yeah, I'm a bad bitch. You can't kill me.
Okay, wow. The Final Fantasy X laugh. Oh my god.
And after this whole massive climactic Marineford war that I think is one of anime's peak moments ever, Blackbeard is the only one that came out on top, even though he did nearly none of the fighting. Explaining different details would be spoilers, and I do highly suggest watching One Piece, even though it is frightfully long. But
Yeah,
that said,
I do need to get
there's
into
this massive saga where Ace is chasing Blackbeard and eventually gets captured by the Marines, and he's set to be executed. Luffy hears of this, and of course he has to try and save him, so he goes to break into a prison to try and break him out. And none of what I'm saying is really spoilery. It's kind of like they open the newspaper and they're like, oh, Ace was captured, I'm gonna go try and break him out. I'm not gonna talk about the spoilery twists and turns that take place to get to that grand finale,
Okay.
but with Ace captured, Luffy breaks into a prison and then has to try to break out. The Marines are holding Ace, ready to execute him. Whitebeard, one of the emperors of Zawardo, yes, I have to say Zawardo in every single one of my videos, I'm sorry, is attacking the Marines because Ace is one of his commanders, and it's literally become the war of the best. The Marines and the Whitebeard pirates are two of this world's strongest forces, and they are clashing. Luffy and his little slew of prisoners that broke out with him get mixed into this massive fray. The government even calls the warlords of the sea to help him, and I understand that if you're not a One Piece fan, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But the point is, this war was on a whole new scale. So imagine a war like this, where literally every party has massive stakes.
Right.
Every party can either win it all or lose it all. And the only winner is this one seemingly goofy character, Blackbeard, who turned the entire world on its head, becoming an emperor in a moment.
Oh, wow.
Building himself up from nothing to become one of the most wanted men on the earth.
Cool.
What impresses me about this, and what makes this a very standout anime strategy for me, is it was done over hundreds and hundreds of chapters. It was
Right, they
completely
spent the
clear
time
that
with
this
it.
is exactly what Blackbeard was going for the entire time by the time his big reveal happened, and it was terrifying. It was terrifying how, tracing back his steps, you could see clearly how he knew this is how the dominoes would fall. He knew about the prison break that was going to eventually happen. He knew about Whitebeard eventually coming to fight the Marines because he knew Ace would chase him because he killed a different one of Whitebeard's commanders.
Interesting.
And he knew he would be able to beat him and give him to the Marines. He was able to play out this massive story, and in the single moment that we see his silhouette approach the battlefield, we know exactly how everything went according
That's
to his
cool.
plan.
I like
It's
that
terrifying. Of all
thought
the world
process.
powers, and of all the protagonists we've been following, everyone loses, and Blackbeard alone is the victor. To mention the ominous threat he poses, because until this point, following Luffy's a protagonist. You know, this is the guy that's gonna change the world. And you know I'm serious because I said the world,
I'm
not
not
Zawardo,
Zawardo.
but instead it was Blackbeard that changed the world. Blackbeard is a anti-Luffy. He is a literal opposite to everything Luffy embodies, but at the same time, he's developing his own name by his own right. In a moment, he became the most terrifying man on the planet. And in retrospect, we saw it happen slowly, painstakingly, over hundreds of chapters. That's something I've never
That's
seen
really cool.
before, and something
Honorable
I've
mention.
never seen since. Blackbeard's strategy is underrated in the anime community, in my opinion, even though there are many people that respect him as a villain. People don't realize exactly how brilliant it was, and with that said, honorable mention time!
Okay.
In Fairy Tail, there was this epic strategy
Fairy
where
Tail,
Jalal
okay.
was like, oh my god, I am the leader of this big group of bad dudes, but I'm also going to make a clone of myself to join the Magic Council.
Good
And the
guys.
Magic Council
So
won't
then
at all
they're
be
the same, and they'll think
suspicious
that
because
they're
I'll just tell the Magic
twins.
Council I'm a twin
There
of
we
this
go.
evil
I love
bad guy.
this.
They'll
I was
eat
on
it
board
right
with
up.
this.
And they did.
I thought it was so
after he joined
stupid
the Magic Council, he uses
that
the
no one
Magic
knew.
Council's massive cannon to shoot massive laser energy and
Which
his
he
own
needed.
massive crystal
Yep.
to absorb the massive laser energy,
It's
giving
incredible
him tons
plan.
of energy so he can say, ha, I wasn't a twin at all. In fact, I was
I
a
am the
clone."
same person.
Brilliant strategy there, Jalal. Very cool. The fifth strategy that I would like to talk about, and yes, I will be moving a little bit faster, never fear, is in fact from No Game, No Life. Now,
Oh.
No Game, No Life is
A lot
a
of
strategy
strategy.
anime at its core.
Yes.
Wait a minute, did you just summon a bunch of monsters in one turn?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
Really? We're doing this now?
It's these two really super genius otaku women and dudes that end up transported to another world. Something
God.
that we're not familiar with,
No.
but if you pay attention,
It's
you'll
called
probably get
isekai.
it the first time I explain it to you. And after teleported to this new world because they beat God in chess, don't ask. It's a world that's run
It's
by
incredible.
games. You can challenge anyone to a game if they accept their challenge. Each person puts something on the line, and they must comply with whatever the
Yes, they
rules
must.
and stipulations
Games
were
are
after
life.
the game is completed. It's a world with no wars, because war is illegal. Instead, it's all done through games. Now, humanity is the weakest race because humans suck. No offense, humans. And
Yes, we
every
do.
other race is like super strong and has magic and psychic powers. Whatever, you get the point. What I'm trying to say is, it's a strategy anime because all the games are won through mind. And honestly, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
It's so good. No
I
Game
found
of
the
Life's
strategy's
amazing.
really fun. No, it's not a Death Note type thing where I'm like, wow, I should have totally thought of that. No, not really. When you're playing chess game and your chess pieces are actual living creatures,
Yeah, that
I
fight
would have
each other.
thought that
Yeah,
the
it's
right
like, well,
strategy
wait.
would be to try with your charisma to convince them to follow you and fight stronger. Normally when I play chess, not exactly the move I try to go for, not the point. They make rock, paper, scissors into some of the most fantastic.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. Everything they do is so fun to watch.
Even though this was not my favorite strategy in the anime, it is the strategy that encapsulates something I love about it. At the very end of the first and only season, Sora challenges his
Yeah, man,
opponents
there's a movie.
to a game of Flip the Coin. Now, this
so
is a very
good.
interesting anime game where they flip a coin, and if it lands on heads, that's what they call heads. And if it lands on tails, that's what some might call tails.
But
Now, he was playing against super precision Beastman Whammon, and Beastman Whammon, which is not redundant, can see with such precision, she knows from the flippings, and she can make her ultimate calculations exactly what side the coin would land on. So, he
But-
flips, she guesses, which would be right, and Sora, with his foot, moves the brick he's standing on slightly to the
So
side,
it stands
so the
up
coin
vertical.
lands exactly in middle. Not heads, not tails, standing
In the
brick
middle.
hit vertically. Which, when I flip coins, never seems to happen no matter how many times I try. A lot of people hated this scene. A lot of
I thought
people
it was
were like, that
quality.
was BS, it wasn't pure genius. And to that I say, you don't understand the genius of anime. Something anime does brilliantly is taking the mundane and making it amazing. Or taking something stupid and making it dynamic.
Yep. Oh.
my f***ing god.
Food Wars is literally about cooking.
Food Wars
and
is
it's
so
some of the most
good.
hair-pulling, bone-chilling, goosebump spurtling,
It can
edge
be,
of your
yeah.
seat
I've only seen
action-packed
season 1, I need to catch up on it.
adventure ever. And it's literally about cooking. This scene encapsulates a lot of what I like about anime, but also a lot of what I sometimes find goofy about them, which is not inherently bad. If you're watching No Game No Life for the pure enjoyment and fun of this world, this coin flip hits you as a ha-ha, got him moment. And if you're like, yes, I will ponder the deep mysteries behind commanding your chess pieces with vigor, giving them more reason to fight better in battle. Yes. If you're one of those guys, you will not like the coin flip scene, I guarantee.
No.
I personally did, and I felt like it was
I thought
the
it was
best
brilliant.
way
So
to
good.
express what I like about this style of strategy in anime. It again does use its mind to a certain degree, because this coin flip landing halfway, where there was neither a victor nor a loser, in a game where there should have definitely been a victor or a loser, messes with the rules of the world. The world's rules were the loser must
Twisting
comply with
things.
the winner's demand. But what happens if you reach a stalemate like this? This is a massive loophole in the fabric of their existence. And that is what I like about this. It was definitely clever thinking by the protagonist's part, even though it seems so ludicrous that someone can actually accomplish this ridiculous feat. He
So
walked
what?
into this coin
It's
toss
anime.
knowing he'd successfully be able to do it like this, causing this loophole in the world, and that is what I love about anime. As much as you want to make fun of this coin toss scene, and I do, don't get me wrong, I do, I also loved it. Honorable mention, oh my god, that strategy in No Game No Life where Sora flipped the coin and like pull the stone back to get it to land vertically. Oh my god, strategy. You call that strategy?
That's
Very
amazing.
cool, Sora,
Oh,
very cool.
Kaiser.
Moving on, the sixth strategy I would like to talk
Ooh.
about is from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it's
Ooh.
from my favorite fight in all of anime ever, Jotaro versus Dio at the end of
Oh.
Stardust Crusaders
Oh.
2. Now, a lot of what JoJo is mind labor.
It is. That's
The power
amazing.
system is crafted in such a fashion that stand battles are essentially chess games where you are the king and your stand is all of your pieces.
Yeah.
The beauty is you don't know what any of your opponent's pieces do, and your opponent doesn't know what your pieces do. If you know what your opponent's pieces do, well, then you're probably going to win, because most of what stand battles
Figuring it out.
is figuring out exactly what the other guy can do, and then trying to figure out how to stop it. Usually figuring out what it is a lot harder than the latter, but with Dio,
Well, figuring out Dio's was
took
like,
several
what
of
is going on?
Jotaro's friends before
They
him
all
to,
died figuring
let's
it
say,
out.
take massive injuries in order for
okay.
Jotaro to
That's
understand that
stories.
Dio's stand Zawardo can't freaking stop time. If Dio
It's
can
incredible.
stop time for 5 seconds, he can stop it, can walk up to Jotaro, kill him, the end. Things do not look good for Jotaro. Now, Jotaro also developed this ability to stop time,
He did.
but he can only do it for 2 seconds. I'm explaining this very briefly, but this fight, as I mentioned, my favorite fight in
So
all of
clever.
anime, is where Jotaro has a completely weaker stand than Dio. Before Dio even uses his stand's power, they fight physically, and Dio proves that his stand is physically superior. And in their stopping time abilities, Dio can stop 5 seconds,
Longer.
while Jotaro can stop 2.
Yep.
Jotaro is in this one-on-one battle and is hopelessly outmatched by his opponent. Aside from the fact, Dio can also regenerate and is immortal. You know, two of
He's
these
a vampire.
little details that also
There's a
make
lot
it
going
way
on.
harder for Jotaro
Watch the
to
anime.
actually be victorious. This isn't a spoiler because it's the big finale of the series, or at least part 3. Jotaro beats Dio. This
Incredible.
fight is purely run on brains. There are so many times that, by the natural order of things, Jotaro should have lost, but he didn't. Dio threw a freaking steamroller at Jotaro while time was stopped, and Jotaro still won. And that's pretty impressive. Last time someone threw a steamroller at me, I was annihilated that fight.
Oh,
I
use the
didn't
game
stand a
clip,
chance.
that's amazing.
I mean, I would have been able to deflect it, but time was stopped also. It was a horrible story. Point of the matter is, I don't want to spoil exactly how the dynamics of this fight go, but I mentioned that this is one of the defining moments in anime
like,
because it really
knowing when to
shows
stop
what I
time
like
within
about
time being
anime
stopped.
fights. How anime fights can pack a ton of feeling behind every punch, but also it doesn't need to work in that linear fashion that we're used to from other forms of media. It's not just out-muscling your opponent, it's out-minding your opponent.
You gotta
That's
know.
what
You gotta
all
think.
stand battles in JoJo's is, and nothing is exemplified better than the beauty finale of Part 3, Jotaro vs. Dio. Now, the next one I wanted to talk about was an honorable mention. It's when Law took the Straw Hats into Wano and had this massive plan of starting this rebellion and thing, but Law's first order of business was the Straw Hats had to keep quiet. Straw Hats never keep quiet.
I can imagine Luffy's character's very like,
cool.
"Meow."
Moving on. The 7th strategy I would like to talk about is from my boy Kiritsugu from Fate
Oh,
Zero.
Fate Zero,
Now,
oh my
I
god.
wanted to make a video on why Kiritsugu is the smartest fighter in
He is
anime. Because
amazing.
he is. And even though a lot more credit is obviously given
He's
to
so
characters like
forward
Light and
planning.
Lelouch, and understandably so, a lot of what that series was explaining exactly how genius they were. When Light took a potato chip and ate it, you freaking knew that's what he was doing!
Yep.
Whereas Kiritsugu operated way more silently and solemnly.
Yeah, it's like,
in
what's
a
he
way
doing?
That you would not per se
How
think
is he
about
doing
anything
this?
he was doing. All of Kiritsugu's strategies were these unorthodox, not by the book approaches
Yeah,
to
like,
combat.
I took
They were
my
completely
ribs and made them
dishonorable,
into
and
bullets.
That's why I loved him. As someone who was never a huge fan of honor in general, not that it says anything about who I am, I always thought that him taking shots at it for being false strangely satisfying.
He just didn't seem to play by the rules. It's
Amazing
amazing.
as Kiritsugu is, it's amplified all the more by what Fate Zero is. Fate Zero inherently is a Greek tragedy anime. It's a series where every single character is an embodiment of a different ideology. A
Yep.
lot of people use this as a complaint, I guess, saying that the characters didn't feel like characters as much as different ideological tropes and ideas, and I think that's what makes Fate Zero fantastic. Kiritsugu embodies utilitarianism, which on its own is self-destructive, as he definitely
I love Fate Zero
learns by
more
the end
after
of the
watching
series.
Unlimited
That
Blade
said,
work.
he's still the smartest fighter in anime. I'll paint
I
this
feel like
out
there's
in a
more
way
to it
that
when you've seen
I
Unlimited
guess
Blade
you'll
works.
understand, and whether you've seen Fate Zero or not, you'll see this as brilliant. If you've seen Fate Zero, you probably don't get how brilliant it was without someone pointing it out to you, because I know I didn't get it until my 3rd or 4th rewatch of the series, and it's also not a major spoiler for what actually goes
It's
down.
so
In
good.
Saber's first fight with Lancer, Saber got her hand injured by Lancer's
Yes,
lance,
and then she
that
wasn't able
lance has
to-
the ability
yeah.
to cause wounds, and those wounds cannot possibly be healed, unless the lance itself is
Destroyed, yeah.
which would undo that curse. Now, Saber has one hand that's injured, which sucks for Kiritsugu, because Saber's Kiritsugu's servant. Everyone knows that Lancer and Saber have a rematch, and they're in this very honorable battle of knights, and Kiritsugu goes around both of them to
Oh,
the master
it's
of
amazing.
Lancer and gets him to sign a contract saying that if he commands Lancer to commit suicide, then Kiritsugu will not be able to kill Kaneth Lancer's master.
But he
That
still
said, if he
gets
doesn't
him
sign this
killed.
contract, Kiritsugu will kill him on the spot, which would mean he loses regardless. It's a lose-lose situation for Kainith, so he might as well sacrifice Lancer so he can survive. What he does is sign the contract. Kiritsugu is now unable to kill him.
Sniper from the other
Lancer, making
side.
Lancer kill himself in a very not honorable way, you should know. And then Kiritsugu's assistant kills Kainith.
I just loved it so much. I was like, yo, clever bastard. So good.
Gotcha, bitch! This was the most
So good.
dishonorable thing
Yep.
anyone could have ever
And he
done.
just doesn't
Not
care.
only did he ruin this battle of
Because
knights,
if you know his
not only
backstory,
did
you
he
understand why you hate him when you're
break
watching it, but at
his
the end
word
you're like, I
without
get it.
breaking his word. And not only did he smear it in the face of Saber, his servant, who he was using as a tool, explaining to her how honor and such is based on lies to make you feel better about murder, he
Yeah.
continued down his merry way. But it goes back further. A lot of people don't see exactly how much he was strategizing at this point, but it was all part of a massive plan that you can only start seeing after rewatching Fate Zero. Kiritsugu originally blew up Kainith's building, forcing Kainith to flee,
hotel.
which he knew Kainith would use as a chance to attack him back. When Kainith did attack him back, he was able to hit him with one of his origin rounds, messing up his magic circuitry, leaving him a mere husk that he would later be able to easily manipulate to sacrifice his own servant, therefore taking his servant out of danger. That said, unfortunately Saber was also injured with her hand, and that sucks, and now she can't fight at full power anymore. So while Castor was being this big octopus monster,
Yeah,
and
that
no
was
one able
weird.
to kill him because he was regenerating and shiz, the only one who had the potential to kill him would probably be Saber and Gilgamesh. But we don't know about Gilgamesh's super ultra power yet. Not the point! Saber, Lancer, and Ryder made an impromptu alliance to stop Castor because he was killing tons of innocents, which by the way sucks according to most people. Being that he's a utilitarianistic bastard, and I love him, didn't really care because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. If he wins the Grail War and causes peace or whatever,
Then he can
with
do
his
what he
wish
needs to
know the
do.
Grail,
Oh,
these
so
lives
good.
lost would be worth it. So what does he do? He advises them on a very interesting strategic approach. He advises Ryder use the reality marble, and even if he doesn't directly say it, it's very much implied that that's what Ryder needed to do. Ryder wasted a third of his energy, because he could have only used that ability 3 times, to trap Castor for a certain amount of time, while he told Lancer to break his spear and undo the curse on Saber's hand, because Saber needs 2 hands to use Excalibur. This is not said in the anime, but that's not true. Saber was seen using Excalibur with 1 hand in many other scenes in Fate Stay Night, as well as in the
Yep.
lore of the Fate franchise. It's more than likely that Kiritsugu did all this to waste a third of Ryder's magic energy, to give Saber her other hand back to make her far more useful in battle,
Yep.
and to cripple Lancer by shattering his spear, so that in the next encounter, he can cause Lancer's master to sacrifice Lancer, and then kill Lancer's master, with not only taking no damage, not only with wasting energy of Ryder and actually finishing off
An absolute
Castor, but now
genius.
Saber is back to full power. A far less happy Saber, because her master's not the most honorable dude on the planet.
But he doesn't
this
care.
is who Kiritsugu is. It's this darkness of utilitarianism.
It's incredible.
as
I
well
love it.
as
I
the
love
truth
it.
That it holds that makes
His
this
story at
strategy
the end,
so
when you have all these
he
flashbacks, it's like,
manipulated
oh, I
everything
get
in the
it.
most
He's
disgusting
amazing.
and vile way possible to get the result that he would define to be the best result. It's an embodiment of his character, and I've never seen something so twistedly beautiful in anything ever. Honorable mention, the time Saitama was like, oh my god, Garou is so pretty freaking powerful, probably, so I better go learn and study up on martial arts so I can beat him. There's no other way to do it. That was a really good strategy, Saitama, because otherwise I don't see how you could have possibly defeated Garou. Very cool.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
8th strategy from Gankutsuo, the Count of Monte Cristo. The whole anime
Okay.
is the Count's strategy. If you know anything about the story of the Count of Monte Cristo,
I've
you know
not watched
exactly
this,
how
but
amazing
this
it
has
is,
been
and that
recommended
the
a few
anime
times
did
now.
it even
Did a whole
better.
video on it.
Okay, maybe not. But maybe. And if you don't know about the Count of Monte Cristo, anything I could say would be a spoiler. And also, fam, it's a classic. At least make believe you're an intellectual and watch the anime. Honorable mention time. That time in My
My
Hero
Hero
Academia
Academia.
where Deku was like, oh my god, every time I punch it breaks my arm.
So I'll
And
use
then
my
he
legs.
figured out after many months of thinking, oh my god, he could use his legs!
Yeah.
Pretty smart Deku.
Incredible.
Very cool. The 9th strategy I wanted to talk about was from my boy Erwin from Attack on
Oh
Titan.
my god, just one.
Jenkins.
Go out.
And in again, I mentioned this one because it's very fresh in my mind, but also because Erwin is one of my favorite characters.
He was incredible.
Erwin is my favorite character.
So good.
Titan, and I made a very good video on Erwin that surprisingly doesn't have a lot of views. I say surprisingly sarcastically because it was copyrighted and it was very sad. Because I paid for artwork for that video and all that, and I didn't make shizzle because someone else copied. Whatever, irrelevant. But I mentioned Erwin and his final strategy in the most recent season.
My God, it's so good.
Because there was nothing more selfless that I've mentioned thus far than what Erwin did at that point.
Himself and everyone else.
Look at anime strategies, and one of the reasons why I love these milestone videos is because not only do I get to talk about what I love, but I get to put into perspective not only why I love it, but why it means so much to me. I mean, I appreciate hitting 600k subs, and I say that from the bottom of my heart, and I thank you for all the opportunities you give me to.
You're going to be a million
sub
channel by the end of the year, definitely.
Erwin's strategy at the very end cemented him as one of my favorite anime
Yeah,
characters.
he's incredible.
And now, before I talk about my favorite strategy in all of anime, on a pure technical standpoint, not on the philosophical standpoint, not on the selflessness standpoint, or any of that. Honorable mention, Movement Rider's brilliant strategy when he went up against the Sea King, and he was like, damn, boy, I'm going to hit him with my bike, because not only can I stand up while cycling, but I can also hurl my bike at him with the velocity of the speed that I was traveling. Definitely strong enough to take him down. Very cool Movement Rider.
That.
Very cool. And the final strategy I want to talk about is
incredible.
From Log Horizon. My favorite isekai anime, aside from Digimon. We all know Digimon's the best isekai
I need
anime,
to get back
but
into it,
Log
because I just
Horizon's
fell off halfway through season 1.
Log Horizon is probably the least known anime that I'm talking about today, so I don't want to spoil, because when it was revealed exactly what he did, not only did I shat my pants,
it was good, the way he
but I
revealed that he
freaking
purchased
lost
everything.
them entirely. Episode 8 in Log Horizon was definitely a good day. I saw it as it was airing, and it freaked the hell out of me, and that's approximately when I started my YouTube channel. Yeah, 5 years ago.
My
God. I was really uploading more than like once every few months or whatever, but not the point. When I started it, my first channel avatar was Shiroe from
It was,
Log
I remember.
Horizon for this very reason. The villain in glasses. I don't wear glasses, but I'm definitely sort of more on the villain side than the hero side. You'll find this funny, but when Mr. Grenexia went to Anime Expo, he asked a few YouTubers that I will not name.
I remember your video
Nux
Nux when you were asking people to help because you had 2 strikes
He's like
on your
a
channel.
shit poster, but oh my god,
I've been watching a while.
Stay away from him, he's terrifying. I found that so funny. Oh my god, my reputation precedes me. I guess, if it's a good thing. But as far as Shiroe goes, he shows exactly how you can find a loophole in the world and take control of everything. Log Horizon is underrated in my personal opinion because it is a strategy show where the entire cast is phenomenal.
There's too much
and the
dialogue in
politics
my
are
opinion.
god-tier.
My
Imagine getting
opinion, though.
transported to an RPG, but the NPCs have their own political systems, and now there are these unkillable adventurers that just keep respawning every time they die, and that freaking messes everything up. Shiroe wanted order, and he doesn't want to be the face of the adventures. No, he just kind of wanted to guide it behind the scenes, and he did it in a way that no one could refuse. It was so simple, but so terrifying at the same time, and now we understand why he has the reputation of the villain in glasses, even though following him on his journey, he's this nice, kind-hearted,
He is so nice.
semi-awkward dude. Just like me! Hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But all in all, this is why Log Horizon's Episode 8, Shiroe's guild-building moment, on a pure technical level, was my favorite strategy in anime. No, it did not impact me like the end of Code Geass or like the beginning of Death. No, it was not as fantastic
It was just
as this
clever.
overarching strategy like Blackbeard's or like Nintendo's. No, it was not a battle tactic like we saw in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or Fate Zero. No, it wasn't just extrapolating the weirdness of anime and going overboard like we saw in real life. And no, it wasn't purely selfless and moving to that degree like Erwin.
Oh,
but
so
on a
good,
simple
though.
level, I highly recommend you all watch Log Horizon because
It's
Episode
clever.
8 is my favorite
What
moment
he's talking
in
about.
all of anime. I do hope you all enjoyed this video. It's about 35 minutes long, which is long! I don't care what any of you say. That's too long. It shouldn't have been this way. I just wanted to give them the time that they deserve. And I also want to give you the time that you deserve. Because freaking, God, you hit 600,000 subscribers. That's like insane. I remember when I was smaller and I was looking at 600k sub channels and I was like, damn, that's a big channel. But I don't feel that way at all now that I'm here. I still feel the same way I was back then, which I guess is good. Because I'm humble, and you know I'm humble because I'm telling you I'm humble, which is a perfect sign
Means you are.
of humility. Yes, I hate it when I don't script the outros. Point is, Thanks, fam. You're awesome. Let me know in the comments
Stay
what you
weird,
want as the
fam.
personal milestone top 10 when I hit 700k subs. If I hit 700k subs, let's be optimistic here and stick with the when. Have yourselves the most wonderful evening. I love you all. And remember, thank you and stay weird, fam.
That was boss. You laughing at me? You laughing at me? I forgot you were there for a second. That was really good. You missed the JoJo's one.
And then forward as he said that every stand is like a pawn.
Oh, okay, you were there then. It's so cool. She's watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood for the first time, so I'm like, you watched that. It's amazing.
I'm at the end of part 3.
So how many more episodes have you got then?
No idea.
Oh, okay. You're close though. Have you seen Pride yet?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. So anyway, that was awesome. Nux, you deserve the subs. I reckon this channel's definitely going to be on 1 million subs by the end of the year. Like, it wasn't that long ago that we did the 500k one, reacted to his 500k special. And there's some good strategy examples in that. What else? There was the JoJo's one. The Log Horizon one is good. The Fairy Tale one really made me laugh because that's only I didn't get much further after that, so I loved that I could actually understand what he was talking about with that. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos, and I'll see you guys. Yes, all you guys next time.